about what I call the tale of two de Blasios. One de Blasio that makes promises, de Blasio who makes promises that he can't keep. If you look at what's gone on here over the last almost 10 years, 7 years ago a community benefit agreement was signed with the community here promising certain things. 2,250 units of affordable housing, as well as an independent monitor to determine whether or not the developer is in compliance with everything that he's going to do, combined with the fact that X number of jobs ought to be created here, and union-related jobs. There's a reason why that rat stands down there at the end of the block. It's because Forest City Ratner is not following through on the promises that they made in the community benefit agreement. Look, Bill de Blasio has been old talk and no action when it comes to affordable housing. He promised affordable housing here 7 years ago. Here's what he said. He said, it's the responsibility of all of us, especially the elected officials, to ensure that this community benefit agreement is scrupulously adhered to. Not once has he done anything to make sure that the community benefit agreement is adhered to. During this entire period of time, Bill de Blasio has been absolutely silent. He's been silent because he's been bought. The people who built the Barclays Center and promised to build all of the affordable housing have given contributions to him over and over again. They've actually, Bruce Ratner actually hosted his 50th birthday party 2 years ago, and he continues to make sure that he's being very, very silent on this issue. And it's quite unfortunate. Think about what we need in a mayor. We need in a mayor someone who's going to fight for New York, fight to make sure that what he promises he will follow through on, fight to make sure that the community benefit agreements that we sign up on any of these types of deals actually are followed to the letter. Last week during the campaign and during the debate, I talked about various different promises that Joe de Blasio has made, and talked about the fact that he's not prepared, nor does he have the wherewithal to keep them. This is a perfect example of Bill de Blasio actually stating over and over again why affordable housing is important, and never ever following through. I think the most important statement on all of this issue comes from the person who's going to succeed him as public advocate. Tish James actually blames all of the elected officials who signed on to this proposal to not see the affordable housing built. Tish James actually said and blamed Bill de Blasio, saying that the fact of the matter is these elected officials have duped all of New York and all the taxpayers in New York. So with that, I'd be more than happy to answer any and all of your questions regarding what I believe is another example of the two de Blasios. He'll promise anything and his follow-up is zero.
Mr. Lhota, the latest poll shows you about 25 points behind today. What do you think it is that you're doing to see what happens?
I'll take this question, then I'll answer questions related to this, and then we'll come back to general questions. I actually believe you will see my campaign will catch up, only in that if you look at behind the top line in the polls where New Yorkers line up on issues. The majority of issues, the majority of New Yorkers agree with me. I will work as hard as I can over the next 8 days to get my message out there to show New Yorkers that my vision for the future is in sync with their vision for the future.
About this project, it's no surprise when the Blasio came to last year you praised this project in Forest City Ratner. Your response to
last year I praised this project.
Well, that's what they're saying.
Last year I held, when I was at the MTA, I held Forest City Ratner's feet to the fire to follow through on the agreements that were made with the MTA, that we were within hours of a default where he was not following through on building the rail yard that he promised to build. Anybody who says I applaud this, I love the fact that we have in my neighborhood this facility. I deplore the fact that the developer did not follow through on what he said. So anybody who tells you I've applauded this project is sadly mistaken, because I'm on the record of holding his feet to the fire, something Bill de Blasio wouldn't understand, holding anybody's feet to the fire. He's all talk and no action.
Hours of default on what specifically?
On what?
He said hours of default.
Hours within the default when they were promising to rebuild the yard Remember, this is property that's owned by the Long Island Railroad. Okay. This property in the Long Island Railroad, where they promised to be able to take this property where they built it, be able to build a new rail yard so that it can operate. It hadn't started on the time it was supposed to start. We extended the agreement and we actually required that it put up additional credit facilities at the same time.
Joe, Blasio has said that the reason that affordable housing isn't as quickly up here as it should be is because the original agreement didn't have any teeth in it. And he blames the MTA.
MTA?
Yeah, sure. And the TAC, because it's a state agreement. There's a city aspect to it as well. But anyway, what do you think about
Think about it.
How would you do it differently?
Here's how I do it. When you have a community benefit agreement, it needs to have clawback provisions. When someone promises to create X thousands of jobs, and they don't create those jobs, you take back, or you reduce, or you eliminate whatever benefits you've given them. I will not, as mayor, enter into any type of agreement where someone's getting a benefit where they promise to do something in return, and they don't follow through. You need to actually have provisions within contracts the way you would normally have a provision based on performance. Failure to perform has a cost. Failure to perform absolutely has a cost. Going back to the idea that it didn't have teeth, this is a community benefit agreement that was negotiated by Bertha Lewis at the time she was the head of Acorn. It was signed on to by Bill de Blasio, where he actually said he wanted to make sure that every provision that was in here was adhered to. He's not done that. And at the time when he applauded the community benefit agreement, not once did he talk about the fact that it didn't have teeth. Not only does he, zipping his mouth silent because of the contributions he's made, now he's making up facts after the fact. You can't do that with any legitimacy.
Specifically, the quote that the de Blasio campaign is pointing to was one where you say, I give Ratner credit, this is part of a 30-year vision for downtown Brooklyn. The job growth in downtown Brooklyn leads the entire city. How long are people going to criticize this project before they realize this is good for New York City? So you said this was good for New York City, and
yeah,
now
but you've got to follow up on what you promised. At the time they were talking about the fact that they were going to be building modular housing. You can't find any part of the modular housing that was promised at that time. Again, the developer came forward with a proposal to begin, and he didn't begin. This facility is very good for downtown Brooklyn. I have no doubt about that. I would totally support this project if the developer did what he said he was going to do. You need to hold people's feet to the fire. If you're going to be the public advocate, you need to advocate for the people. You don't look the other way, zip your mouth silent just because the developer is a campaign contributor. Look, we've had enough of this duplicity in the city of New York over a long period of time. You can't have it one way and do it another way. You can't have, Bill de Blasio saying one thing and doing something else. Or as I've been saying over and over again, Bill de Blasio says constantly, do as I say, not as I do. The fact of the matter is, if this project as envisioned went forward, it is a great project. But it is not going forward, and the public advocate is not saying anything in any way, shape, or form to hold the developer's feet to the fire. That needs to happen.